The thing with the rules that we have is simply that they were made a generation ago. They were made in that world, for that world, and they do need to be looked at now in this world, for the world that we have, and actually the world that we might have.
If we want to make sure that referendums have a respected place within our wider representative democracy, we've got to ask the questions about when they might best be used, how they might be regulated, how we deal with the challenges of a referendum within the digital age.
When I was first an MP here about 26 years ago, my secretary worked on a golf ball typewriter. Now I carry an iPhone around with me. That's how far the technology has come, that is how far we have moved. And if you don't look at the rules on referendum when society has changed so dramatically, then I think you're making a big mistake.
I want to see them work well, and I've certainly had quite a lot of anxiety at times that they don't work as well as they should. Certainly, the example of the last referendum on the EU persuaded me that there were areas that we really did need to look at.
I chaired Vote Leave on the referendum on leaving the European Union. So it doesn't come out of a sense of grievance of the outcome, it comes out of a sense of saying we are using a system which clearly does not fit neatly into the other systems of governance.
We came together over a number of months for meetings discussing various papers that had been prepared for us. We'd fed in what we thought we needed to look at, things like the international environment, having different sessions on different aspects of referendums.
We at the Constitution Unit have been able to do a great deal of research in order to support the Commission's work looking at referendums in the UK and around the world.
As well as the meetings of the Commission itself, we've held 4 seminars in Cardiff, Belfast, Edinburgh and London, illustrating of course what we should have known, which is that not all parts of the United Kingdom have exactly the same issues about referendums and how they're conducted.
I have a particular interest in the work of our Commission, which relates to the connection between a nationwide referendum and what happens and what is the attitude in a devolved part of it.
Almost inevitably, in my view, we found that on most issues, even though we may have been coming on different sides of the last referendum, we were in fact of a like mind about the improvements we would like to see take place.
The Commission makes recommendations in 3 main areas. First, what should be the role of referendums in our overall democratic system? Second, how can we ensure that referendum campaigns are fair to all sides and allow voters access to the information that they want? And third, how can we update our framework for running referendums for the digital age?
I think there was a very strong sense that there is a chaotic element around referendums which can leave people with a feeling that they have been manipulated, and we've got to do what we can to eradicate that.
That may involve how information is disseminated. It may look at campaign finances. It may look at how people can trust the information that they're hearing, and how to make sure as well that there is an impartial role for government in that process.
Referendums require a lot of planning, and actually you fix the referendums legislation outside the framework of a referendum. You know, it's a bit like fixing the roof while the sun's shining. So what we need people to do is to look at the framework through which referendums are run, out with the political kind of shenanigans surrounding whatever is the next referendum.
One of the big problems about digital campaigning is so-called dark ads. And these are advertisements that are targeting particular voters, but no one else can see them. So we don't know what messages are being put out. We don't know who's being targeted. It's really important that we can develop a repository for these advertisements so that everyone can see who's putting out advertisements, what they're saying, who's paying for it, who's being targeted.
People want change, but they also want to have a big part in that change. And I hope that this is a process that will lead to a better democracy and more respect, I believe, for our parliamentary institutions as part of that.
I would like to see a sensible debate in Parliament, and also informed by the public, about how we put a framework in place for future referendums. And I would really like that to happen now, not when we are about to run into another referendum.
My hope is that the work of this commission will have a special significance for these questions being asked for a small part of the United Kingdom.
I do hope that this is going to start a debate in government as to how we update the rules in this area.
I really think that this is a good report with some good recommendations and could help to make the future quite different around referendums. And so I suppose the one thing I would hope for would be that people do look at it and think about it and actually put it into practice well before any legislation for a future referendum.